Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock, Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner.
Hey.
First time we're all three in the same spot for it feels like a month.
The boys are back in town.
Is this the first Grip Lock we're all in the studio together?
Yes.
Since the West Coast tour.
Yeah, since the West Coast
So
tour.
it has officially been over a month since we've all three been in the studio.
Wow.
Woof.
The
Beach Boys are back.
Woof.
We've got a lot to talk about, so we're going to start off with a little Patreon question of the week. We're going to talk through an interesting storyline that I don't think anyone saw coming, where the Pro Tour is allegedly considering getting rid of FPO.
If you clicked on this episode, you saw it coming.
That's true. The Kansas City Wide Open went down last week, little Trevor's trivia, and then we'll summarize the Macbeth Euro Tour because
Eurovision.
This week the Pro Tour joins Paul over in Europe. So Paul's 6 week? Is that how long it's been?
Do you think it's gonna be like one of those things where I'll go over there and Paul's gonna be like, "Listen, guys, I gotta show you all the spots." Like,
Well, no, because they're in different parts of Europe. They're now going to be in Norway.
Scandinavia.
Okay. Anyway, let's start it off with the Patreon question of the week. If you're not sure what this comes from, basically we have a weekly podcast over on Patreon called the Heiser Club Mailbag, where each week we answer your deepest, darkest questions. Most of them are not related to disc golf, but
Best part of the week.
I pull over a disc golf related question for you all. But if you're interested in hearing all of that, plus getting exclusive monthly content, contests, discounts.
If you want to hear more about, like, I don't know, what condiments we would spew out of our belly buttons, like that's like the other questions we get from that.
Or if like
that's a good advertisement.
if you'd rather have, what was it like?
Oh, if you rather have a
foot long nose
or
and
like
you
a
not
hole.
smell anything, or a hole in your face and be able to only smell stinky stuff. If you're curious about that answer, that's in this week's episode.
Oh my
But then
God.
there are also questions about like baskets and Pro Tour and stuff like that.
Yes,
it's a mix.
And now that
It's a
you're
mix.
so intrigued, head over to patreon.com/Foundation Disc Golf and you can get a 30-day free trial. So hey,
can tune in.
There's no risk.
You can get 4 weeks of that.
Yeah.
For free.
But this question came from Justice Ballard. He said, "How many strokes do each of you think that you'd have to have as a lead going to the final round in order for you to win Worlds?" I want to add a caveat, so it's slightly different for our Patreons.
Okay.
You can pick any course now.
Okay.
So we're gonna say you can set it at any course. What is like
So
the
should I try and give
fewest?
myself the best shot,
I think the
guess?
fewest amount of strokes
Okay.
you need. You can pick your course. Fewest amount of strokes you need to guarantee you're gonna win Worlds.
Okay. So if I can pick my course and therefore giving myself the best chance, then I'm gonna pick Peaksview Shorts, because Peaksview Shorts, there are most of those holes. There is just no blow up potential whatsoever. Like, even if you throw a bad drive,
You can
true.
jump putt.
your jump putting
That
is
is
taking
true.
par. So therefore, like 18 strokes is like for sure safe. So if I'm going into the final round and I'm gonna assume that the people chasing me, there's no scoring separation at this course.
No.
So I'm gonna also assume that there's a bunch of people that can catch me, and I'm gonna assume that 16, 17, 18 unders are happening, like right
Yes,
behind me.
that is probably a very good.
So
They're birdieing every hole. Somebody's birdieing every hole.
under the pressure, like at a course that I would normally shoot around 10 under the amount of pressure I'm going to be under, I'm betting I'm shooting like 2 to 3 under. And I think I could still do that because like I'm still going to be able to function to some extent. So like maybe like 2 under. So I'm going to say I need 16 shots to guarantee I win. If you give me 16 strokes, I'm going to hold them off.
I'm gonna say the same thing. Peaksview Shorts, because I want to say other courses, but again, just purely like ill-functioning Konner.
Because you do have to remember
crippling fear.
You do have to remember the players that are trying to catch me. They're also playing for a world title. They feel pressure too. They do, of course they do.
Yeah,
like they
you're right.
It's not like everybody behind me just doesn't feel pressure. Now, for the first part of that round, there sure aren't, because
You do have to factor the baskets. These pros putt hard. They're not used to mock
they're
greens.
gonna, I'm
That's
saying
true.
like there is
well,
like,
but they don't only play Pro Tour. Well, they might only play Pro Tour courses.
most of them do. I mean, you don't. Those baskets are a different kind of situation.
I think I'm going Peaks Shorts as well, because
Yeah.
again, the blow up factor I think is
Right.
one of your best.
It's just not there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm giving myself. I'll probably shoot even
Yeah.
under the pressure, and I think there's very much the possibility, very likely to be the possibility of someone shooting 18. Somebody could shoot 19, because there's definitely aces out there that Pro Tour people could get an ace and birdie every hole. So
yeah.
I'm giving myself 20 strokes.
I would
Dag on, you're gonna shoot one over.
I would be curious. Like we've never.
This is just to be safe. I'm being safe here, but
we've never turned up the pressure to 1,000 on a course like that. I'd be curious to see if we did a break style video at peak shorts. Like we've never seen.
Like,
like,
what would be the break?
What,
Like break 14 under.
yeah.
I would say you put the line at 10 under to where it's achievable, but like we turn the pressure up hard, and like I think under a lot of pressure, like if you put $1,000 on the line and I had to shoot 10 under, no way.
I think the best,
No way.
the best I've shot at peaks shorts is 9.
The problem at
pretty sure.
peak shorts is to get 10 under, you got to get one of the first few holes.
Yeah.
I will always par hole one.
You'd make it like hole
Without
6 and you'd be
fail.
even and be like, huh.
Yeah,
So
that's
like
what
you
happens.
can like the open holes, like the hole really you want to be at least 2 or 3 through 4 at least.
Sure.
Yeah.
You got
And
like
it's easy to shoot even.
2 and
through
3
4.
are like ones that you should get every time, and like a lot of times what'll happen is you'll miss 2 and then you'll spit out on 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
And that happens
Yeah.
real quick. What's
I'm
your
going
answer?
to the Tiki course at the Blockhouse, which is like 2 hours away. It's literally a putt-putt disc golf course. If you want to see it, someone broke the world record for most holes played in a day out there. It's all jump putt holes.
That's
okay.
a great strategy.
So I can 3 every hole without fail. Problem is a lot of pros are going to be acing stuff.
Yeah, you just brought
Maybe I
putting
just
into
lost
play.
it.
Yeah, I say you just brought
'cause
putting into play
yeah.
now.
Well, but the most
Like
of them are
Gannon
like
Bird's
100
out there
Let me
just
see.
banging 50
yeah.
footers. I mean, went 8 for 12 from C2 this
Yeah,
past
He's
weekend.
acing half the holes. What's his jump putt percentage?
C2, that get the best guys in C2.
Let me see if
are
I
like,
can find the
what's
distance.
what's an
on
average
this.
C2 percentage for the top 10?
Okay, let's see. Hole info.
Yeah, what's our?
Okay, we
what's our
got 70 feet,
distances?
70 feet, 70 feet, 100 feet, 70 feet, 125, 90 feet, 70 feet, 100 feet, 70 feet.
A lot of
90
those 70
feet,
footers
80
might be
feet,
getting-
80 feet, 90 feet.
Might be getting hit.
So it's all par 2s.
Yeah. Well, I mean, realistically, you're 2ing most of the holes for sure, but like,
I think I could 2 every hole.
I've never seen. I've seen the course.
I would
but
give
never
myself
seen it
under
recently.
pressure, 10 under, out there,
Yeah.
under pressure.
It'd be really funny to go out to a
And-
course like that. and
Well,
just-
10 under, I'm putting them all to 3s.
I was gonna say,
it's
wait a
all to
second,
2s
what?
here, but I'm putting it all to 3s. I'd give myself a 10 under, a 44, and I think that a pro could shoot 20 would be. I think if you give me a 10 or 11, I'll go 11 strokes. 11 strokes, I think I can hold someone off. Because basically, if I can
Be an
2,
epic battle.
if I can 2, like if I get through hole 8 and I've 2'd every hole, then basically like I'm gonna make people just start acing.
It'd be a
It
really
would
fast
be-
challenge.
It'd be so funny to go to that course. So it's all par 2s, and just put like a crazy punishment up, and like to where like you're scared. And I think that's a little funnier than a reward, because the punishment.
Yeah,
I
fear-
want you to be scared.
Fear golf is always very interesting to watch.
Because like, and just say you can't bogey a hole. Just on
Yeah.
that, where you shouldn't bogey a single hole, because even to par 2s.
There's like 1 or 2 trickier ones, but you shouldn't.
jump putts, jump putts can latch onto a finger. Like
They
you
can.
Well,
yeah.
there's the
And especially if you're nervous, you're
Oh, yeah.
shaking. Like,
well the 1 or 2 of them of the like 100 footers.
I'm always shaking.
Like one of the
Trevor-
100
Trevor's
footers.
got an advantage there.
One of the 100 footers you like throw into like a wooden hallway, and then it opens to a room, and the basket's in the room. So you have to like actually hit. Now there's a net everywhere. So like, but you can miss the hallway and drop at
Yeah.
the net. I 3'd it during. They had like a bracket thing after the tournament, and I 3'd it during that. And that's how this dude, he was so drunk he didn't even know where he was at, and he beat me because he was just playing free. I was keeping score. He didn't know the score at all.
God,
And we were
that's
just
gotta
playing
hurt.
through it. I was sober as could be, playing my heart out. And I was just slowly watching. He was up 2, then he was up 3. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. Like, what are you doing? And the dude's
Yeah,
like,
which
wait, is it me or you first? I'm like, it's still you. Still your team, man. And he beat me. He moved on, and then he lost the next round.
Wow, that's hilarious.
It was rough. It was like 1 a.m.
Dang,
It was tough.
that is tough.
Yeah. I did not want to be out there anymore.
I like to think that I could really put my little frisbee toss to use out there, but it
Yes.
also means that I could also just throw past the basket and then miss the putt.
That also could happen. The OB is kind of tight past the basket a lot of
Oh,
times.
okay.
There is
Okay.
OB out there, some factor. All right, so let's get into this. Came out of somewhat nowhere last week. Mid last week, Kat Merch posted and her on Instagram, and her caption said, "I'll not be going to Europe this year, sadly. I was looking forward to competing overseas, but unfortunately, I am caught in a vicious cycle of my body fighting off E. coli. I probably shouldn't have played the preserve, but given the circumstances of the situation and the potential cutting of the FPO field for 2024, pushed me on forward. That was her caption. The situation, obviously, preserve we talked about last week. Natalie Ryan was able to play in the preserve. That's the situation she's talking about. The circumstances of the situation. Potential cutting of FPO field in 2024 was something I never heard of. Seemed like no one in the disc golf world had really heard of.
Was that how that information kind of dropped? Was that how it got leaked?
So Cat Merch just put that on Instagram.
Daggone.
So then we tweeted it. Griplock tweeted it. Tour Life tweeted it. And I was originally thinking they meant like this is their solution for states where Natalie Ryan has won lawsuits or could win a lawsuit. Then the Pro Tour is like, well, we just won't offer FPO there. That's even wild to me. But what's even more wild is as more information started coming out in my Twitter replies and over on Reddit, it seems that apparently what is being alleged is the potential cutting of the entire FPO field for the season, like period. That I will Hunter Thomas take will not happen. I would be bamboozled if the Pro Tour actually did that. But that's what's being alleged. So let me show you kind of where it's being alleged. First off, we had Holly Finley. This is a confirmed user, Holly Finley, on Reddit. So Touring Pro in the know. Exactly what Kat said in this is the situation. If it gets too expensive, the Pro Tour will eliminate our division. That's what the owner told us is the plan if the lawsuits continue. So Holly Finley's claiming this is straight out of, I would imagine by owner, she means Rainwater's mouth.
Yeah.
But Rainwater or Jeff Springs,
no,
someone.
I doubt Springs said that.
Straight out of the owner's mouth. Fascinating. Then prior to that press conference that we talked about last week, where you had the FPO players and some MPO players coming out making a stance. This is the post that went out that like was drawing people to that. This is from Vanessa Van Dyken on it seems to be a Facebook group called DGPT FPO players. I don't know how someone has a screenshot, but someone screenshot it and Keith responded to my tweet with a screenshot. So I don't know where he got it, but Vanessa Van Dyken said, "Hey everyone, this is some info I received. Today at 3:30, we're holding a press conference to stand up for female sports. I was informed last night that the DGPT has exhausted its funds, and this will be the last battle they are able to fight in the courts. They will do whatever necessary moving forward to help keep us on tour. But if the lawsuits continue, they are in a financial place that would lead to the cutting of the FPO division. If you'd like to join the 20 to 30 of the FPO alongside some of the MPO as well, we'll meet at 3:30 at the Pavilion by hole 918. Hold a meeting after." To discuss how we can continue to fight for our division. So again, in that situation, now this one provides a little more insight where it seems that it's more so like if things continue the direction they're heading, the Pro Tour is not in a position to financially fight it anymore.
Will.
Which that makes both of those statements, like that all makes sense. What doesn't make sense is like the lawsuits are just for Natalie Ryan and trans women, not just Natalie Ryan, but trans women to be able to compete in FPO.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, if the Pro Tour is in a spot where they're like, we can't fight this anymore, I don't think it's the best move to cut off the living of 36 some touring FPO players because just so that one or two trans women can't play.
Yeah, for me. So my initial reaction to this was like it sounded like a frustration take. It sounded like somebody in the Pro Tour said this out of frustration, which I guess I understand why they're frustrated. They're losing in court or whatever. And then like if you say something that hot and spicy, it's gonna get magnified really quick, especially by these women who are concerned with their living being affected and what they do. So like that could be the case. I mean, removing the FPO division entirely would just be PR self-destruction. Like it would open up the floodgates for a new tour to emerge. It wouldn't surprise me if there were people in disc golf investors that did have money, and if there was an opening, like, hey, this is the time to make a new tour, then they would do it. I don't think this is actually going to happen. I think you're right. I could see what I foresee happening is if they keep losing and they run out of money to fight it, I could see them like giving a vote to the FPO players so that like they can at least say that we're giving them a say in the matter. Sense. And then they would vote. I'm sure they would end up voting to continue the tour because, like you said, like it's like for them, it's like a rock and a hard place situation where like they don't want to play on the like under those circumstances. But if they don't have the tour, like, I mean, it would just be like, it would just be so bizarre. I was trying to think like what other play is there? Like, is there a scenario where, I don't know, that, I mean, just like the cutting of the FPO division, there could not have been anything other than emotion beyond that take. Like, there's no way.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no way that was a thought through strategy, because like you just don't do that.
I would imagine that it was a private conversation that one of the FPO players was having with Rainwater or Jeff Spring or whatever, and it was just said somewhat flippantly, like, like, to be honest with you, we just don't have that much more money to fight this, blah blah blah. And you know what, like, if it keeps going this way, like, we might end up having to just cut FPO, like something where like they probably hadn't really thought. And then as an FPO player receiving that information, you're like, my whole livelihood. It does now, having this context. Some of the comments that people were attacking, like Katrina Allen, Sarah Hokum, where they were like saying their division's at risk and all of this stuff.
Right. Makes a lot more sense.
Last week's context was that they were just saying like trans women are going to come take over their division. They're going to have a division to fight it, to play in anymore. And obviously this group that was standing up believed there's unfair advantages. So that was the angle it seemed. And it seemed a little bit extreme, but you know, you're having a press conference and it seemed like you're trying to get your point across. Mm-hmm. This is probably why they were saying that, is because they are genuinely being told, no, your division's literally at risk. Yeah. Not like at risk, like it's at risk of just being cut off. Because there's another, Mike Janish responded. Now, this person is blurred out, so take this all with a grain of salt, because Mike is claiming it's from a touring pro. I don't know Mike, and this is just a screenshot of a text.
We don't know Mike.
So this could just be from Mike's brother, for all I know. But he claims it's from an FPO touring pro, and it says, we've been told that when the pro tour runs out of money to fight these lawsuits, they may cut the FPO field from the tour entirely. So with the context of everything else, it seems like it's probably legit, but again, that could be from absolutely no one.
It's just one of those things where like I cannot see a scenario in which that happens and like they're able to save face, because like think about like even the protesters that are on the side of like Katrina Allen and company, like they're fighting for women's sports. Like they're not like the eradication.
No
of
one
division.
wins.
Yeah, that would be
in that.
And I just like, I don't see how a company survives such a insane PR move.
No, because like literally,
I mean, that would just be, you'd just get thrown to the wolves.
Everyone loses in that scenario.
Because I could just, that could be the end. Like I could see a lot of the MPO players walking. I could see, you know, heck, maybe Macbeth and Dylan Cease will start up a new tour. Don't get me wrong, the Pro Tour has a humongous head start on infrastructure and scheduling and this and that. But at the end of the day, and people I think a lot of times forget to understand that like all it takes is one multimillionaire to replicate exactly what the Pro Tour has from a infrastructure standpoint. Because they're carrying around some advertising material. They've got some camera crew in that situation, but like the Pro Tour does not have to be the end all be all if somebody came along with money. I mean, if somebody came along with serious money, you know, they could be going like that, because ultimately the money is what the players need, and you know, the eyeballs will follow suit. So, you know, I don't think that they think they could get away with that and not leave the door open for something else to pop up and challenge them. And I just like, I think that take, somebody made that take in the Pro Tour out of frustration, and then it blew up.
That's what I think.
Like, there's just no way that anybody was like sitting down, unless there's a plan and we're misinterpreting it. Like, unless they're like, we have this different idea for how to accommodate the female players. But like, there's just no way. The repercussions of that would just be nuts.
No, I think the two things that are like a scenario A that I believe is most likely is it was just said and it was taken a little out of context maybe, or something to where that's not actually on the table.
It just can't be. There's no
but
way.
As an FPO player that heard it, terrifying, ran with it, we're here. I think that's the most likely scenario. Other scenario is maybe I'm not super well versed in law and everything. Maybe there's some other aspect to the lawsuit that, like, you know, it's not as simple as, I don't know.
I'm wondering,
I can't think of a scenario where this is like legally required, but like
I'm wondering if the Pro Tour, and this is very hypothetical, I have no idea if this would work. If the Pro Tour had the idea of scrapping the FPO division and creating a women's tour that's parallel and creating a new set of guidelines and rules that would help them better fight in court.
That could be interesting.
So like, because like right now they have to kind of deal with the policy they have. That's what they're getting sued over. Yeah. And I don't know how easily it is for them to change it if that would, but maybe their idea is like, okay, let's just create a women's tour. It'll run parallel to ours. We'll sell it the same way, but we're going to create a new policy for that tour and maybe create a policy that will better defend them in court. I could see that. That
could make sense because they could also with that tour separate themselves from the PDGA. Which
and get away from that.
Get away from that, exactly. The PDGA policy where, because in my opinion, and I haven't, for some reason, this isn't being brought up in court, which means that my opinion must just be dumb. But like, I think the best case Natalie Ryan has still, as far as like, because one of her things is that she was being targeted with the policy and everything. And I think one of her best cases for it is that the PDGA made two different standards. One for the Pro Tour and one for everything else. And like that just doesn't, well, one for elite, or I forget how the PDGA did did the elite series, major, whatever, tiers, and the Pro Tour enacted that one. But the A tiers and everything below in the PDGA has a completely different standard.
Yeah, super silly.
Which that makes no sense to me.
The whole PDGA Pro Tour relationship is super weird.
That could be something where maybe what the Pro Tour meant was similar to you said. Like if we just started our own FPO tour, and then we could change the language of the policy. We could be separate from the PDGA. Yeah. All of this, and maybe they feel that would take out the grounds for laws. But it seems like most of it's financially motivated, where they don't have resources to fight it anymore. Yeah. So you would think they wouldn't. From that standpoint, that doesn't make sense because that whole line of thought would be that way we can win if we fight it in court. But it sounds like it's coming from a root of we don't want to fight it in court anymore.
Well, but I mean, yeah, if their whole thing is like we cannot have another complaint filed in court, but like as a business, will they be prosecuted or sued for scrapping the FPO division? Like I have no idea. Well, you would think what you can and cannot do.
That's where there's a weird line of like a private business, because I mean, we just saw I forget what the exact case was, but in the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court defended like a private business's right to refuse service, essentially. I believe. So you would think that would all like cutting the FPO field would fall under that, where it's like, no, we are only an MPO tour, and an MPO also stands for Mixed Pro Open, so they're not excluding anyone. Yeah, that could be their other angle. Is like, I mean, everyone's available to play on this tour. Right. There's just like qualifications.
No, yeah, you can definitely. I mean, the PGA, like for example, like that's a men's tour. I suppose women probably can play on that tour, but like.
Well, there was a storyline a while ago of where like I forget, it was like a LPGA member got an exemption for a tournament years ago and played. Yeah,
I mean, but it's more so the idea that like they're active. Like the PGA Tour never had a women's tour, to my knowledge. The LPGA Tour now exists, but it'd be like the idea that they got rid of the women's division. But like Title IX, that has to do with collegiate athletics for the most part, I believe. Oof, that might be wrong. I think it was created like Title IX. As somebody who worked in athletics in college, like that's where it takes a extreme effect is in college athletics. Like you have to have matching sports and stuff. But I don't know like how applicable that is to pro side when it's not like when you're talking about. Like the governing body, like there's no like NCAA governing over, like this is like they are the governing body. They created it. Mm-hmm. So like I don't know what the rules are there. Like I don't know what they can and can't do.
Well, I think the Pro Tour, where it also could be interesting is the PDGA is a 501c3. So they have like strict guidelines on how they can and can't operate. Right. The Pro Tour is a for-profit entity. Yeah. So they're a business. So I think, I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see.
Well, right, because like what happens at the end of the day, like if I don't think Title IX should have no grip on them as far as like if you have a touring men's tour yet, like that's not a thing. So like if they were to cut the women's division and like cite financial reasons for that, then like there shouldn't be. But like,
what are we even talking about? We know it can happen where you have only one gender specific. Well, not because first off, MPO isn't gender specific. It's mixed pro open. So that everyone's allowed to play in it. Easy defense. B, the women's global event happens.
Yeah, that's not a tour though.
But it happens all across the country, and it excludes a certain group from participating in it.
I don't know. I don't know where discrimination like starts and ends. I thought I did. I have no idea anymore.
I don't think the Pro Tour would have any legal ramifications from going MPO only. They would just have massive PR implications.
Yeah, I agree.
You couldn't.
Well, yeah, it'd be PR nightmare. My thing
Since
is
they are a privately owned business, they can't.
It would end them basically.
My thing.
Yeah, but it can't.
But I don't think it would legally end them. I think it would be.
It would because of capitalism. And
exactly. It would be the free market would end them.
Yes.
But legally, they shouldn't run. They might have some more complaints filed, but I don't think those complaints would hold any ground.
Well, my thing is like I always thought with all these lawsuits, I always thought that like it was a state by state issue. But like if they're talking,
well,
like,
Massachusetts is apparently the next state. So MVP Open,
yeah.
And Natalie Ryan won MVP last year, so she should be auto qualified.
Right.
I do believe her. So that's the next one coming up.
That's my thing is like is the Pro Tour like. Are they like there's just so many states that this is going to pop up that it's just like not it's going to be always an issue, like we can't just move around because like MVP that's the toughest one yet if that's a thing because like that you take Maple Hill off the tour, people would run.
I don't know that for sure. People were responding to my DM saying Massachusetts was
like
next.
Are they just like, oh man, we're just going to lose in a lot of states each year and it's going to continue to be a difficulty, or are they like thinking, well, you know, the larger lawsuits that may come out of this, like, are we going to lose those? Like, I don't know. I have no idea where their head is at.
It was just a fascinating development. Obviously, we'll keep you in the loop.
Yeah.
As it continues. In my opinion, if that is where the Pro Tour goes, it could be very interesting for the sport of disc golf because no one wins in that scenario.
Okay, yeah. So Title IX only applies to schools, local and state educational agencies, and other institutions that receive federal financial assistance from the department. So that's why it's that's why it mostly has to do with college athletics. Because Title IX, like I know Sarah Hogan was talking about Title IX. I think she was doing it more so to like talk about how like much that meant for women's athletics because it certainly did for anybody playing at younger levels. But I don't think it has any implications on the professional side because they're not getting federal funding.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clear that up.
But yeah, it would. I do not think this is where the Pro Tour would end up going.
No shot.
Simply because, I mean, for instance, when Steve Dodge removed Jomez back in the day, we saw Nate Sexton and Big Germ take stances where they were refusing to play the Pro Tour over Jomez being removed from it back in like 2016.
Granted, there was still a national tour back then.
There was still the NT. But I'm just saying,
if you got rid of the FPO division, players would be
yeah, and maybe if you remove, because like the players that would take a stance would be the players that are in the financial position to take a stance, which means all the players that matter would take a stance.
Well, it would just be such a huge like hindrance for the sport too, because like until some other tour could get scrapped together, you know, we've put all our eggs in this basket of that the Pro Tour is. I mean, I guess they would all go play the PDG, the Euro Tour.
Yeah,
Euro Tour to the moon.
It'd be fascinating, but again, I would be shocked if that did happen. I think the Pro Tour would have a contingency plan because the Pro Tour up to this point has been very slow moving, no big things that like could hurt them PR wise. Like they've been very methodical and thought through in all their actions.
That statement just slipped out.
This would be the exact opposite of what we've seen in the Pro Tour. So
somebody said something.
Needless to say, I don't think this is actually something anyone needs to worry about, but it was a fascinating thing that came out last week.
Clearly, multiple FPO players are worried about it. So that's
I would be. If I was an FPO player and I heard that from someone who has the authority to say that, of course I'd be terrified because like you can't just say, oh, that's not going to happen. And then next thing you know, you wake up and you have no job. And like your resume is, I've been touring as a professional disc golfer for 10 years.
And there's implications too for like the manufacturers that have poured a lot of money into certain FPO players.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what the heck do we do now? Like it would be really bad.
Yeah. This past weekend though, the Kansas City Wide Open silver event went down. It was the 41st Kansas City Wide Open.
Why is it called the Wide Open?
You know, I was literally thinking that. In the logo, they put Wide Open separately, which makes me think it's like Kansas City and then like Wide Open. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying?
definitely it.
Like anybody can win.
It's
But-
it's just like a cute name.
Like
It's
wide
instead of
open.
saying open, they add wide open, as in like it. It's
But if
just
you
a
put
fun
it all in line
name.
next
I
to
mean,
each
it's
other,
fun.
is it
It
the
is
city
fun.
wide open? Like
Kansas
this is
City
Kansas
wide.
City wide open.
I think they put. I've always
way they
perceived
did-
it as wide open. As
The
in
way
it's
they
just like
did
a
the
cute thing
logo
to add.
leans to your line of thought.
Okay.
I always read it as like the Kansas City wide,
I'll say this much: it's fun.
and then the open.
It's a fun name.
It's this is for the Kansas City wide area, open. But then the way they did the logo, it
Kansas
was
City,
like
wide
Kansas
open.
City wide open.
That's how I think that they just called it the Kansas City wide, so that with open it says wide open, and they thought that would be funny.
I mean,
and
it's-
they're
it's-
right. I think it's kind of funny.
Knowing disc golf, I'm sure there's like a very specific.
I
and
noticed
funny
that.
reason for it.
I saw that. I think it was on Instagram or something that I saw that name, and it made me think. You know what? I've always just taken that as like a normal
Somebody
name.
in the comments
because,
will
like,
probably tell us.
Because like in like
Somebody
disc
knows.
golf, every time the Kansas City wide open came around, I was like, hey, I just thought about it as a name. But then this is the first time I thought about it as like they added wide to that.
Yeah,
Like they added the word wide to that. But I think it's fun.
it was fascinating. But 41st annual, it has to be one of the longest running events in disc
yeah,
golf
I've been
because I mean that
watching
goes
it.
back to the 80s, right? Late
don't
80s,
know.
yeah, 84 or 82 would have been when it started.
That's like the beginning of disc golf.
That's what I'm saying.
That
This has to be-
sounds like a real cute '80s name.
Yeah. But anyways, this course I thought was fantastic. I really enjoyed watching players compete on it. Had a good mix of open and woods, a lot of OB. There was good stroke sweat separators where like the MPO side, it came down with like 2-2 to play, I think. And it was far from over. FPO side, it swung on 17-18. I thought I really enjoyed the course, and I personally thought it could be an elite series course-wise. I don't know where it fits in the schedule and logistics. Kansas City's a pretty big city, and
good
from what I
gallery.
understand, this course was 20 minutes out away,
Yeah.
and they had a decent gallery for the
Solid.
weakest silver event field of the year. So
there's like nobody there.
you put a lot of more pros there, and there probably would be a much bigger gallery. I don't know. I personally think this could be an elite level event in the future. I don't know what you think.
The
but
course. So I had a blast watching the course. I thought I was watching it and thinking like I would love to play that.
they
course.
do need some grass-eating carps in those lakes, but that's it.
Oh man, yeah.
There was one shot where I was like,
It took like a
that's
while.
not grass behind him.
Yeah.
That's water.
The disc would like land and like slowly sink. It looked like a really fun time to play. I like that it was a mix of like you had like the good hybrid mix where you're getting like some open-ish holes, some wooded. I think that it was a pretty similar theme throughout where it was like a lot of split fairways, a lot of like low ceiling split fairways, and you're either throwing from in the woods to out or out of the woods to in, hitting split fairways. That was a lot of the course. Ton of forehands. Holy cow. Gannon Burr threw like 90% forehands that last round. My thing is, my only comments on the course, I'm in this like weird spot with disc golf courses where like I think there are definitely some serious flaws to wooded disc golf on tour. It's very fun to watch. There is always like just so much more luck involved with wooded disc golf, which is where I struggle a little bit. Now, I will say this course seemed pretty fair to me. It seemed like the fairways, when you hit them, they were fine and you were getting decent ground action. Like I wasn't seeing people getting robbed. The difficulty with woods golf is always the idea that if you miss your line by an inch, you might kick 100 feet left. If you miss your line by a foot, you might just like hit the luckiest gap ever and end up parked. So like that's always been my difficulty. But I do think it's a lot of fun to watch. The other thing was like there was a lot of split fairways on that course, but like every single person threw the same shot. So it's kind of like, well, I think it was like there was a split fairway for no reason. But I don't know how much that applies to the whole field. Obviously, we were only watching like 8 people. But overall, the course looked pretty fun, and I had a lot of fun watching it. I think that what really made that course work for sure was some really well placed holes towards the end. I think anytime you have a course that offers separation towards the end, like hole 18 was really good.
Yeah.
What made hole 18 really good was it was not super soft because like the shot you had to throw off the tee, that left to right. I mean, you saw Gannon struggling with it. Like that was not an easy drive to get to eagle position. And then on top of that, the green front to back was like 50 feet. So like that hole was really good, I think. And it was like the layup was like almost just so close to you that like it tempted you as well. So I think hole 18 was just a really good hole 18. 17 was like thick woods, which made it kind of a separator. The other thing I'll say about woods golf is when guys get into the thick of it, it just doesn't film well. You just see a camera on a guy standing amongst a jungle, and then they throw the disc, and then in the woods you get a lot of cut disc golf where it's like the disc goes out of its hand and then you cut and see where it landed, which like that I think is one of its flaws. But there are a lot of exciting parts of it. It is like refreshing a little bit. I think this course was an example of like, I think there should be some wooded golf on the tour as much as we can. The cell service at this one was great.
Yeah.
Really crispy.
Didn't drop at
all. It seemed like it could somewhat handle a gallery, especially on the more open holes, obviously. So I think that this is if we're going to do some wooded golf on tour, this one works. Like, this one was good. I'd be curious. I would love to see more pros there in the future to see how it shapes out. But like, yeah, I had a lot of fun watching it. It looked like a great time to play. Like, I would love to play that course.
Yeah, I think the off the fairway scrambling is one of the beautiful charms of wood golf. I think where a course like this and Waco struggle with it is a lot of times the underbrush.
Yes,
is so grown in.
Right. If it were just trees, it would film a lot better.
Yeah, because the underbrush, it makes it uncomfortable for players. Obviously,
it looks a little unprofessional.
But a lot of times, it's all the trees that is like actually hindering the player.
Right.
So the underbrush hinders the run up and maybe your swing a little bit, but the trees is what makes the shot difficult.
It's like WR. Like WR, you don't get a ton of underbrush on a lot of holes to where like it's just pine straw and then there's just trees in your way. Like, that's what we'd rather see. Yeah. You don't want to just see a guy surrounded in a bush.
Because that's where it starts to film bad.
Right.
Is like a disc just pops out of a bush.
Yeah, and it just looks a little weird when a guy's pulling briars out of his arm and he's like on the pro tour. Like, it's supposed to be like a manicured course. I don't know. It's a little weird.
The comment though about on woods golf, you missed the fairway by a little bit in like both scenarios you painted, you did miss the fairway.
Yeah.
So like, I think once you miss the fairway, you're at the hand of luck.
No, I agree.
Because that happens in golf. Every sport, luck's involved. And it's
agree.
Like, as long as the fairway's fair enough, which I felt like most of these were, then hit the fairway, I'm gonna get a good result. Miss the fairway, it's luck.
I think what it really gets me is like initial gaps. Like, if you've got just a straight up pretty typical gap right off the tee, that doesn't ever bother me that much because it's like the gap is very clear. What more so bothers me is when you have like little gaps of trees by the basket on par threes to where like you're kind of just like hitting the initial gap and then let's see what happens. And like I know that Joey Buckets guy on one of the later holes threw a shot where like down by the green, he snuck through a gap like this big to park the hole. And it's like, they're praising his shot. And it's like, yeah, but like he got very lucky to hit that last gap. And so when I see stuff like that, it's like, I understand it's just kind of part of what it is, but I don't know. I struggle a little bit with courses. You can do a wooded course where everything is super fair. And I think a lot of this course was fair, but there were some times when you have enough trees on the fairway, it amplifies luck. And I struggle a little bit with like when you provide opportunity for luck to be amplified a ton. And I think that's where I struggle. That's where I'd also love to see more OB with woods courses where like if you just kick too far, or if you throw off the fairway, like maybe you're just out of bounds at that point, because that would eliminate some of like the weird scramble situations when it gets like really thick. I don't know.
But then the bad luck with that though comes in even more, because then it's like if you just objectively draw a line in the middle of the woods, then like you could be kicked 2 feet in and you're safe, but 2.5 feet you're OB. And it's like, that's brutal.
I'm like struggling internally with like.
I think luck is just a big part of golf.
But it doesn't have to be as much. Like that's where I'm at, is like when you play on a more open course, the luck factor is taken out a ton more. When it's manicured well, especially, because there's so much more predictability.
But I think that luck is just as much a factor in the open. You just don't see it. Because when I play Falling Creek, I'll miss my line by 30 feet sometimes. But my angle by accident, I swing in and I'm 20 foot for a birdie.
Right, but that's like...
I messed up. I got lucky.
But the guy who did hit his line and miss it by a little bit is also not getting punished. So like it's more.
But also the less trees you have, the more wind you have too, though.
I think
the wind plays into effect almost as much as the trees do.
I think the
wind won't stop
the woods just amplify how much you see the luck. Because it's lucky too. Like if we could both throw into a hillside in the wide open, and one of us sticks, one of us rolls.
Right, but I mean that could happen in the woods. Like everything that can happen in the open can also happen in the woods. It's just the woods you throw a lot of trees into play. And like at the end of the day, I'm more so what I'm struggling with right now is like how much of disc golf is decision making versus how much is just straight up shot making. Which is because like when you're in the woods and like at this course, if you threw the perfect shot, I didn't see people getting punished for that. And so therefore, if you can walk up and just throw the perfect shot, you're going to do well. And then it's like how much of disc golf is meant to be like decision making, like, okay, where do I want to land my disc versus the OB, or like, and like, it's that idea of like how much courses on tour are just foot on the gas. There's only one way to play it. You just try and make birdies versus how much of it the tour needs to be like, I need to think about my game plan on each specific
Well, I felt
hole.
this course was a good mix because I thought one thing I really liked that they did.
There was a mix. Yeah.
One thing I really liked that they did, and I think more courses could implement this, is when they would get to the open with the wood line on the right, like hole 18, for example, the wood line, and they did it on several holes, the wood line was safe.
Yeah.
And the left was OB.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like pick your poison.
Yeah.
So you wanted to miss more right, but if you missed more right, it was almost at times more damaging than just going OB left.
Yeah.
Because you were pinched, you had to scramble out. And I like that because then on the tee, you do have to think. You have to think like, would I actually rather miss right and maybe get lucky, or would I rather push left and guarantee my angle? But if I go OB,
no, I think almost every open hole out there, I think there was a great mix of those two types of disc golf on this course. I think that as much as I am struggling with it, I think the Pro Tour is also trying to figure out what the identity, like what does professional disc golf look like? Does it look like really tough wooded courses where guys are threading needles? Or does it look like the more open courses where the long throws are accentuated, but also landing zones and angle control is really important in those open courses? Like what does professional disc golf look like? Because right now we have...
Can professional disc golf look like a mix of the two?
Well, that's the thing.
That's
like,
what I would prefer.
that's what I think it is.
It's weird when like those two sports can be so vastly different on the
That's how
same
golf
tour.
But what
is.
I like about it,
it's not.
it pushes you.
Golf, there's so much difference between like, I mean, I don't know the full terms, but I know like link style versus like other styles, like, and the green speeds, the like some of them have bunkers with big shoulders, some of them have bunkers with no shoulders.
Right, but it's not nearly the same difference as like you're still hitting, like if you can hit a 5-yard draw, like that still lands in the middle of the fairway.
If you can throw a perfectly straight shot, you're gonna be able to play most courses.
That is true.
Right. I don't know. I just, it feels a lot more severe. I don't know.
I think it just looks more severe.
Oh, I like it also because in the woods, throwing a shot that can be awesome is more risky. There's more risk involved, which I think is fun. And I also like that you get punished if you throw a bad shot. I also like an element that I think adds to the game as well is that some people get lucky and some people don't get lucky. And then now you're not just bringing into like account a player's physical ability, but their mental ability too, to be able to play against somebody getting lucky or to be able to be like getting unlucky. I like that they have to try to deal with that.
I've always been in a weird relationship with luck because I think that luck is a skill. Like I think certain players, like Paul McBeth.
Well, that's not true.
It's a multiple athletes you'll hear talk about, like the better they are, the luckier they get. It's a very famous sports quote, and I am 100% bought into that.
That's because you miss smaller
adage.
Well, yeah, that's more.
Well,
like
I think it's the way you miss, the areas you miss. You control your luck to a certain extent.
I think you can, but like the different, like sometimes things just happen that are unlucky. Like,
yeah, but I think you reduce the better you are, the less likely that is. To happen
sure, because you throw better shots.
So there, by nature, you're more lucky.
But you're not. Well, you're not, because you're not controlling the. You're not controlling the luck. You're controlling the amount that luck comes into play.
You become more likely to get good luck.
You control your probability.
Yeah, because you're putting your disc in less places where it needs to.
Exactly.
Be so it's not technically you're controlling your luck. You're just controlling how often you need luck.
Exactly, which I think controls your luck factor.
Okay, I agree with your reasoning.
Yeah. So luck is like luck will always be a part of every sport. In general, like whether a ball falls in when you shoot it from, luck's always a part. Heck, I mean, I don't know if y'all watched the summer league game. Probably not, because there's no reason to. They had a sideline play from
the 3-pointer. I saw that.
Yeah, and the dude, it was 0.6 seconds left on the clock, meaning you have just enough time to catch and shoot. And the dude just like chucks it up, beautiful pass. The guy catches it above his head, just jumps, shoots, line drive, back of the rim, in.
Well, that's not luck.
But like that same shot could have easily bounced off the back of the rim and bounced out. And that also wouldn't have been luck.
But he threw it on the right trajectory. I would describe luck more as like random kicks more so than like you threw a shot that didn't even get touched by anything and it just went in. Like if he threw and it got tipped off a guy's hands and went in, like that's more luck.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's always a point where luck and skill
like
are
every
very
shot,
close.
Every shot has probability to it. Like
yes,
what's going to happen to it.
And that's where I factor luck.
But like
it's like the probability.
A basketball shot, like the second it's in the air, it has already been decided whether it's going. I think golf, there's more involved because there's a reaction when things hit the ground. That's where it becomes more of a luck.
True,
but
because
while
in
it's in the
basketball,
air,
you can factor the only difference between basketball and not. You can argue the same thing. Once the shot's in the air, it's decided. But the only difference is you don't know the probability.
When it hits the ground, the ground is such a different variable than a rim that is always the same shape and
technically,
size.
with the basketball shot, if that same exact shot was done again, it would go
in every time.
But there's no way to do that exact same shot.
There is not any way to do it. You're right.
But
I
it's the same
where-
argument as if you had a robot throw the same exact shot or hit the same exact golf shot over and over and over into the exact same blade of grass the exact same way, the same result would happen. Yeah.
Because the ground is not a consistent
the wind,
enough variable.
the wind would change.
But I'm saying if you set up the same scenario every
Like you're in a
time,
wind
the
tunnel,
same thing would
yeah.
happen.
Right, but it just doesn't happen in disc golf when it can happen more in basketball, is more what I'm saying.
Yes, but
because
basketball has a
you're
lot
inside,
less luck.
yeah.
I'm just saying luck's in every sport.
Sure. I agree.
Every single sport.
I agree.
Yeah, no,
And I think
don't-
the
yeah, I
better
don't know why we were
players,
talking- yes,
the
I
better
think we all
players
agree.
narrow down how much luck they need.
Certainly.
That's why
Very true. Because
so
they
I don't.
have-
I'm
agree
not.
with that.
I'm.
they have
I'm
a
fine
smaller
with.
margin of error.
I'm fine with. I think wooded courses like this, like W.R. Jackson, are fantastic, where the fairways are wide enough and they're asking for a shot that is doable. But if you mess up, you are punished.
I mean,
and I don't mind luck coming in once you mess up.
I'll put it this way. I don't want to sound like the Woods course hater because, like, at the end of the day, I really never get pressed over people getting bad breaks that much. Like like I said, I loved watching this course,
You're just thinking about it.
I'm mostly thinking of it as like the Pro Tour because, like, I'm just seeing them going in like two different directions, and I'm trying to figure out. Because, like, I've always been on, like, Brody talks a lot about, like, wanting more separation and decision-making on the course. And I've always been very much on that train of, like, yeah, I like courses where guys have to think a lot. And I'm not really a huge fan of, like, there's only one throw. Can you execute it? But then the more I think about it, I'm like, how much is disc golf going to have to rely on that kind of golf? Because we're just a different sport than golf in the sense that, like, we can't just make the grass longer and make it more difficult. It's so much harder to make disc golf hard that, like, I think there's always going to be a heavier aspect of disc golf that is you just need to execute shots.
Well, in woods golf, though, you're missing the decision aspect that comes from kicking off.
Yeah, no, there's decisions
asking
when you
for
scramble.
a specific shot off the tee, but we're all human. No one's going to hit that perfect shot every single time.
Yeah.
Then the decision making comes in on how aggressive you get when you're not in the perfect spot.
Yeah,
I think that's way more likely in woods golf than in wide open golf.
Scrambling is a great part of woods golf, but then, like I said, the hard part, the biggest challenge with woods golf is like you said, like, scrambling is very exciting, doesn't film well almost ever, and then B, at the end of the day, if this sport gets big enough, like, we just won't be able to put spectators in there.
That's the spectators,
like,
is the end all be all of
so
woods golf.
that's where it's like the Pro Tour, are they going to decide early in the sport to say we're going to really shift the identity of disc golf, which they kind of have been doing very much significantly. Like, this is a silver event, remind you, like, a lot of the serious Elite Series events, because, like, even like WR, like, that's not a Pro Tour event, that's PDGA. Like, most of the Elite Series events they're putting on, they do want more open courses. They're trying that model. So it's like, is the Pro Tour just trying to set an identity that works for their business model? And I know that a lot of people want the woods golf. Like, a lot of people it is really difficult to make an open style golf course film as exciting. Because I'm telling you, like, this woods golf captivated me because it is very straightforward as to what they're trying to do. You see the gaps and it paints the picture.
Mm-hmm. I think the Pro Tour, the two things that have been eliminated from Tour, and I think will continue to be, well, I guess the one hasn't been but should be, open courses with no OB.
Yeah,
that gone. So the bad open course and the wooded courses that are really tight, gone. What I think a beautiful mix is, like, you will always, the golf courses, the wide open style, spectators, it films well, but obviously it doesn't film exciting, but it films well where you never have to wonder about where a shot's going or anything like that.
Yeah, well, I'll say that. There was nobody on the course for the broadcast, and I still had a better idea of where shots were landing at this event than I do at most of the ones we do.
Yeah.
And that's because, like, the one thing about woods courses they're very straightforward. Like, you land here, then you throw that shot.
But I think the wooded course, like this aspect, a lot of them, and I think this is where wooded golf can kind of live with spectators, is when you're throwing like the first half of the fairways in the woods and it goes out to the open.
I mean, that would be the dream scenario.
The great shots, because that happened on a lot of these like par fours and stuff where the players were throwing through wooded gaps where if they messed up, they did have to scramble.
Yeah.
But if you hit the gap and got out, now you have OB to worry about or woods on the right, but the spectators can line.
Out there, yeah.
So the spectators can be out there. You had the like hit the gap aspect of wooded golf. You had the scramble aspect.
Yeah.
The woods was in play, but you weren't in the woods.
Right. I think a lot of people, when they think hybrid golf, they immediately think like some wooded holes, some open holes. But really, like this course did, you should have holes that are just some of both.
Yeah.
Where you can, like, it's okay to have a green. Like let's think hole one at Maple Hill. That green goes 130 feet into the woods. All the spectators could peer into the woods and see them tapping out on that hole. So like you can do holes that feature wooded aspects and yet remain spectator friendly. But
even 18 out here and other holes where OB left, spectators left, woods right, where a player can go into the woods. Yeah. It was because you wanted to throw that turnover, and if you turned it too hard like Gannon Burr, he had to scramble out of the woods, but the spectators can all watch it.
Yeah, the course had a lot of really good ideas for course design. I'm in an internal struggle, as you can probably tell, with where everything's going, so I'm just going to let the Pro Tour do their thing, and I'll just commentate on it.
Yeah, now results-wise...
Because like I have no idea at this point. I'm lost.
I think the Pro Tour is headed to a mix where some tournaments are just going to be wooded mixed, and then
ratio?
Other ones are going to be open. The majority of them are open style courses, I would say, because if you think of the Pro Tour and truly wooded courses on the Pro Tour, Northwood's black.
Well, it's
is there any other? I mean, the Tour Championship rotates. It's typically at a pretty wooded course.
So,
but other than that,
so we had this one we would call hybrid, Preserve open.
Yeah.
Des Moines, more open.
Yeah, I don't really think there's a true wooded hole at Des Moines. They played into woods.
Yeah,
but.
DDO open. Zootown open. That one had some woods in it, but it's a silver event.
Yeah, just stick with the main, the full Elite
Portland
series.
Open.
Mm-hmm. Was it OTB before that?
OTB open. Jonesboro open for the most part.
Open. Waco's
Music
a mix.
City nowadays pretty open.
Yeah, Music City I would call hybrid-ish, but Waco.
They're not really in the woods though. Open in
Waco
Austin
would
open,
be and then
Waco kind of woods. Like that one.
They have that stretch in the woods.
Yeah, and then LVC. It's like there's
LVC's
not really
open.
woods on tour.
I'm trying to think the next wooded, the only wooded courses on tour, truly wooded. Waco has a stretch.
The Tour Championship
Northwood's
at
black. The Tour Championship rotates. I said that one. Sometimes Hornets Nest, sometimes Nevin. Both of them have open and wooded aspects. I'm trying to think. There's one other course,
MVP.
Idlewild.
Say MVP.
Idlewild is a decent mix. MVP's even a mix.
But like I would consider that a woods course. You're in the woods for most of that course.
Yeah, Idlewild is. The woods are in play on almost every hole at Idlewild, but I wouldn't really call it a true wooded course.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Idlewild's a pretty good hybrid.
Yeah. So there's really only like 2, maybe 3 true wooded courses.
Who knows how much Northwoods will be on tour for other reasons.
Yeah, Northwoods you can't film.
I don't even know why it still is.
Yeah. So there's your answer. Wooded golf's essentially gone anyways.
It's already gone.
There's
what
your
are we
answer.
talking about?
So Allie Smith took down her. This is the biggest win of her career. I believe she might have won Am Worlds, and she looked familiar, which makes me think she might have won Collegiate Worlds at some point.
The question is Am Worlds or Silver event a bigger win?
It's a tough one. I still lean towards Am Worlds, but I know a lot of people wouldn't. But Allie Smith took it down. Now over Holland Hanley and Hannah Wynn, Lisa Fakis was the player that she really took down.
Lost it on 17.
Lisa Fakis lost it on 17 and
18.
And 18.
Yeah.
She went, what was it, double, triple?
Yeah.
Yeah, double, triple to finish. Holland Hanley had a chance to push. It would have not really to a playoff because Allie Smith hit the putt, but she had a putt to make her make the putt.
Let me just say that Allie Smith running that, like, I understand that the putt was like 15 feet for her to tap out there, but she could have, like, that OB is like literally like 10 feet behind the basket. It looks like it's really narrow. And the fact that she ran that putt when all she had to do was lay it up, Like, I mean, good on you. You're a professional disc golfer. Like, I understand, like, you're expected to make those. But, like, she looked a little nervous. Like, I wonder if she knew she could lay that up. And, like, because, like,
it was probably one of those scenarios where she thought she could lay it up.
But just didn't want to.
But, like,
yeah.
Because I've been in a scenario.
Because, like,
like,
I've
been in scenarios with monthly matches, which is the closest thing I have at this point. Where I know I can lay it up, but I'm terrified to lay it up. Because, like, imagine you lay it up and you tap
lay it
out
up and mess up,
and then you do the math. You do the math, and you're like, my stroke was wrong.
Yeah,
I
get
now.
it. But I'm just thinking, like, all it takes is one dumb little roll away.
And it's so hard to walk up with a 15-footer and, like,
not me, dude.
and not just can it. The basket's right there.
I said, I'm laying that thing right up. Because I was just watching her. I was like, she knows she can lay up, right? And then she looked kind of nervy, and she made it. So, hey, props. Well done. Like, you're a real professional. I am not. I would have been scared.
I thought through hole 6, she was, on the final round, she was, let's see, even 3, 2, 4 up. She was 4 over through hole 6. No, I mean, Lisa Fakis at that point was 2 under.
Vegas was
I think
in the
Fakis had
driver's
kind of
seat.
taken the lead at that point, but I thought Allie Smith was out of the question. Because newer player, well, not really newer player, but newer to this scenario
Low-key,
player.
Allie Smith has, like, had some, like, pretty decent finishes this year.
She quit teaching to try disc golf full time.
Yeah.
And this was, I think, a very big, like, confirmation moment for her.
That's awesome.
But through 6 holes, you could have had me bet, and my money would have gone to a lot of other players other than Allie Smith. But she just, after that, just was very steady. I think she shot 3 under after
Nice
that.
player, yeah.
And
Been a
Lisa
great backhand.
Fakis was in the driver's seat and just fell apart.
Right, well, that hole 17 at that course is ruthless. It's like a 416-foot par 4, but it's like, it is the definition of like a Plinko hole. Like the men's, a lot of the guys were tossing forehand rollers, which that should tell you that your hole is.
It wasn't the best.
Not the best
hole.
Now, granted, if you threw a really good backhand, it did work. So I don't have ultimate beef with that hole. Like I do appreciate the fact that it was a separator, in the fact that if you kicked early, you're just toast. And so Lisa Fakis, and actually the star of hole 17 was Holland Hanley, who made a really nice putt, like through a good drive, okay upshot, and they made a solid, I think, just outside C1 putt.
Yeah, it says it claims 50 feet.
Yeah. It was a stepper, I think, to make a birdie.
That was a
there,
big time putt
because Allie Smith threw a good drive and then like shanked her approach and hit an early limb. So that didn't help. And Lisa Fakis kicked early, like pitched out of the woods, then threw another bad shot, like just kind of let it snowball, which is very easy to happen on that hole. So yeah, then going into 18, you have Holland Hanley trying to catch, who's only 1 back now, like throws a pretty bad drive, but luckily that hole is pretty forgiving. So then ultimately, she's able to lay up. Lisa Fakis like threw a bad second shot out of bounds.
She had 2 OBs. Lisa did.
Yeah, her first. She kind of lost it when she went OB on the second shot.
It was kind of over through 17, to be completely honest.
No, wasn't she? She was only 1 back.
Yeah, but her mental game was.
Well, yeah, I mean,
gone.
yeah, but she threw a good drive though.
Yeah, she could have still won it.
I mean, ultimately, Allie Smith making the birdie meant that they weren't going to catch her, because
but
Eagle
Holland
there
Hanley,
was a stretch.
What was fascinating to me, and I don't want to put this guy on blast, but during the FPO, I believe his name was Charlie, the commentator.
The MPO guy name was Craig, I think. So
Craig. It was the same guy.
Oh, okay.
That was what was fascinating to me. So him with Juliana Korver on the FPO commentary.
It was a funeral.
I hated it. It was terrible. Like there was not a lot of energy being built. He seemed kind of all over the place. It was not going well.
He was like a local.
The putt on 18, Holland Hanley.
17.
18 that Holland Hanley had.
That miss, yeah.
It came and went, and like blink and you missed it. It was the most important part of the tournament in a lot of ways, because it put all the pressure on Allie Smith. No setup, no nothing. And then like afterwards, like I was like, man, dude, the poor guy, like he's done. Then MPO, I was like, man, this commentator, the difference was they paired him with Brian Earhart. And Brian Earhart is one of the best commentators in our game.
Well, because here's what I say is he was the color or the play-by-play guy, Craig or whatever, was super low-key, to the point where paired with a really, really good and energetic color commentator and somebody who is like very willing to take over a little bit, like Brian, because Brian is just very good and Brian is super knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Because think about like when you compare Brian and Nate Doss, both Brian and Nate Doss have like been there, done that. Nate Doss even way more so than Brian Earhart. But Brian Earhart just kind of has a very analytical disc golf mind, to where like when he talks color commentary, he adds a lot into. He's very good at understanding what shot selections people are going to make, and painting. Like he's just really good. He's a pro. So paired with Brian Earhart, this guy was fine because he just wasn't getting in Brian Earhart's way.
I just assumed it was a different guy.
Yeah.
Literally, I was enjoying.
He also warmed up, I guess.
I was enjoying the commentary so much more in MPO that then at the end, Gannon taps out to win. We'll go into the MPO side now. Gannon taps out for the win. Gannon came in first. Joseph Anderson second. Jake Hebenheimer third. And they cut over for like the shot of the day and all of that stuff. And I see it's the same guy, and my mind was blown. My mind was absolutely blown. I was like, that is not. I was like, that's not the same guy.
Yeah, dude,
like this morning, I was like, this poor guy just got.
Brian Earhart makes me feel better. If they could clone Brian Earhart and have him in the field and in the booth, it would be really great because he's good. He's good at what he does.
He's very, very good. Let me see. Yeah, I think we covered all the FPO. So this was realistically, this was a must-win for Gannon Burr, and he did. Like I said, weakest silver event field, weakest Pro Tour field
who was there.
Of the year.
You know who was there? Who struggled?
Matty O.
No, your boy. Was Matty O also there?
Matty O was there
your
too.
boy was also there.
Cole Redolin. Cole Redolin just needs to win one.
I think he's more of an open player. I don't think he's a woods guy.
Matty O was there, and he didn't, I wouldn't say he struggled, but when you look at the field, he struggled because he didn't win. Or even he wasn't even, like you didn't even know Matty was there. He was he finished in 8th place.
You don't know about my boy Kevin Kiefer and Sullivan Tipton, man.
Yeah,
there were some.
We
learned about some dogs out there.
This was a young talent field.
I think Kansas City just breeds excellence.
Well, I think
there are some dogs out there.
What it was is it's a lot of young touring players.
It's wide open out there.
It was a lot of young touring players that are too early in their career to make the trip to Europe.
Yeah,
but they're still like.
Well,
touring.
I don't know why Gannon's not going to Europe. Like,
that's fascinating.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Gannon should be in Europe, but
dude made like 90 grand in winnings last year. Get yourself a ticket. Get out there.
The Sullivan Tipton, Kevin Kiefer, Robert Burridge, Evan Scott. They were kind of like they were all over coverage. Jake Ebenheimer. Joseph Anderson.
I loved it though. It was a fun little showcase for.
It was
some
great.
Of the more
I think
players
because Joseph Anderson, from Georgia. This is really just a young guys tournament because I even saw our boy Luke Callahan was out there.
Oh, really?
Playing. Where did he end up? He was up the leaderboard at some point. There he is. He finished in 43rd.
Dang.
He shot 5 over the final round.
Dang, Luke.
To get to 1 over for the tournament. He was playing pretty good. Also, quick shout out, Anthony Bedanza Disc Golf. He did cash. He went out to the silver event and cash. He shot 1 under for the tournament. He shot 2 over round 1, 2 over round 2, and then 1 under round 3. So even through 2, 1 under.
That seems
finished in 38.
Good for him.
Finished in 38.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Wow.
Congrats! You cashed it in 18.
I mean, if he beat Lucas, pretty good. Like Luke Callahan's pretty good.
It was an impressive performance for Bedanza. I had him start on my U-Disc, and I was watching it all go down.
Nah, dude, let me tell you, Joey Buckets, Joseph Anderson, really fun to watch, and Hebenheimer, Jake the Snake, as we're calling him. Me and like 3 other people on Twitter. Yeah, Jake the Snake. he is fun to watch. Really like animated guy. Like threw some electric shots. Like, and he caught fire. Because
he got hot
for a while there.
Fire?
For a while there, Joseph Anderson.
This?
Joseph Anderson, Gannon was struggling early on, and was just like hilarious on the hot mic. By the way, just like he's the type of guy that I respect, who's like throwing shots and being like, "Why do I suck so bad at disc golf?" Like,
what's funny is some of those shots he would say that,
and
they'd end up being perfect.
They would find shots, but like you could tell he was missing some lines that he didn't want to, and it was really funny. But Gannon was struggling early, and Joseph Anderson was like on one. Jake Hebenheimer was kind of just around.
Well, Sullivan Tipton was on one.
Well, yeah, Sullivan Tipton. What did he shoot?
6 through 6.
Did he finish?
He finished at 10 under.
10, yeah.
But he started 6 through 6.
But then Joseph Anderson took a few bad holes down the stretch, and Jake Hebenheimer just kept pushing.
Really, 9 through 14, that's a 6-hole stretch. He was 7 under.
Yeah, he started. I mean, he was bombing forehands. He was just taking super aggressive plays on like every hole and just threading it, like just throwing such great shots. The putt was working because, like they mentioned, like now correct me if I'm wrong. Was he not the one who used to horseshoe putt?
Yes,
and he doesn't anymore.
Yes.
Dang. Well, it's funny because Gannon hit his horseshoe.
That's why they cut over. They might have tweeted the clip. Because they had like Jake in the foreground watching it. That
was a sick putt.
They said something about it.
That putt turned around Gannon's round. He had like a really tough straddle out, and if he wasn't like 7 feet tall, he probably wouldn't even had a line. But he threw like a high straddle horseshoe putt from a knee, which those putts that you're trying to fade in right to left are so difficult to make. They're so difficult not to pull them or just not let it fade enough.
It's so angle sensitive.
Yeah, very difficult. And he made that, and like you could tell he like gave him a little energy.
Gannon the Snake.
But yeah, it was a great battle, and ultimately, I mean, it really just came down to 18 there, and Hebenheimer was forced to get aggressive and just missed his shot.
Yeah, he nailed the first shot and just barely missed the second.
That drive was a bomb.
Yeah, that drive
he was just a little
crushed.
bit pinched and just didn't give his shot enough height because he definitely had the distance. But
yeah, Gannonberg took it down. To me,
it's a good win.
This is the type of event I think of when I think of a silver event.
Yeah.
It wasn't flooded because like some silver events the line gets blurred.
Do they have the
like,
field strength on Statmando yet?
Yeah, it's the weakest silver event of the year.
What, by a lot?
No, by like 2 or 3 points. It was a little weaker than Memorial, which was in a silver event.
Yeah,
it was a 21. Memorial was 23.
Oh
yeah,
man.
But this is what I think of because like, sometimes the top pros flood into a silver event and the line gets blurred.
Yeah,
between like an elite and a silver event. This is where I think the future silver events are because like it let like Joseph Anderson, Jake Ebenheimer, if Calvin Heimberg, Ricky, all these players were there, we're probably not saying half these players' names because we're probably not seeing half of them. Well, they're at tournaments week in and week out, and we haven't seen them. So,
yeah, but I also think as we just looked at the Pro Tour schedule, this was a very different course than we normally see.
It was, but I think it's a course Calvin Heimberg would have picked apart.
I'm not saying, well, yeah, but I do think that a lot of their success had to do with the fact that this was a very different style course.
The lead card would not have looked like this.
Maybe.
I will confidently say I'll put the Hunter Thomas guarantee. The lead card would not have contained all the players it contained.
Well, if the field strength was 100%, then yeah, I would agree with you. But I mean,
that's what I'm saying. If this was a full elite event,
well, sure.
It would have looked a lot different. But that's why I love this. Is what I think silver events should be. Like I love this type of silver event where it was still really entertaining golf because newsflash, there's a lot of great disc golfers out there nowadays. Mm-hmm. It was still really entertaining golf, and it was people that you just like. Oh, this was the future of the sport in a lot of ways because all these guys were like 20 or under. It felt like. Or around 21. It was
like Forbes 30 under 30, man.
Yeah, it was the lead and chase card. Chris Clemens was like so out of place, and that guy's not even that old. But you looked at him, he looked like he was babysitting.
Well, whenever you got Evan Scott out there, and he looks like he's 12.
Yeah,
like there are some.
Because I'm pretty sure it's mixed
young.
up now, but I'm pretty sure the lead and chase was Gannonberg, Joseph Anderson, Jake Ebenheimer, Sullivan Tipton, Kevin Kiefer, Robert Burridge, Evan Scott, and Chris Clemens.
I think that sounds about right.
I think that was the lead and chase.
Emmer Daddy was not.
No, he popped off.
He just went off.
And stuff like that.
And he's also young.
Kevin Kiefer actually might have been farther ahead. Because he also shot 11 under.
He popped off.
But like this was the young guys. It was pretty. It was a very entertaining tournament, both the course design and the field.
It was wide open.
And now next week we're going to Europe. We're not. Pro Tour is.
Yeah, the Pro Tour is.
We're not?
The Sula PCS Open. It's not the Sula Open this year. It's just PCS Open, or is it still the Sula Open?
I think it's the PCS Sula Open.
They've just been calling it the PCS Open. I'll get to the bottom of it right now. But let's jump over to
the bottom
of the PBS Open.
Trevor's trivia.
That's what it is.
What do you got for us, Trevor? Yeah, it's just PCS Open.
Oh,
so they must have taken the word Sula out for some reason.
Was Sula a location or a company?
I don't know. PCS is a company because it's it's in Norway. Vestnes, Norway. Okay. PCS is a construction company. I found out.
Yeah, I think I knew that.
Sula, I don't know what Sula is.
Of course,
Sula
really
the Snake.
Cool. Sula the Snake. All right, we're gonna be doing a very fun game today.
I love very fun games.
You know it. You love it. You do. Just believe me. It's called Is It Baseline?
I love this game.
Is it baseline?
I truly do know it and love it, Trevor.
6, 8, 10. I got 11. 11 plastics. All just very niche, obscure brands. Some very new ones. There might be some repeats in here, but I try to get all new ones we've never done. I think I did.
Niche and obscure is how I choose to live my life. Okay,
we're gonna start it off. This is baseline or premium. We're gonna start it off with Toxic.
Is this? We're going to get working together? We're going back and forth.
We're going against each other.
Okay, so who do you want to answer first?
Do we have to say the manufacturer too? That was a part of the last one, I think.
If you can guess the manufacturer, you get a bonus point. The way we're gonna do it this time is you guys are gonna put a one, because I don't like the idea of you guys having like, well, what are you guessing? So you're gonna put a number behind your back. And then when one is going to be baseline, two is going to be premium, and then you're going to hold them up at the same time.
Oh, it's great for the audio listeners.
Well, I will obviously tell them.
Why don't we just say it at the same time?
Well, I want you to do that too, just to make it easier to not cross it up.
Is this Konner trivia?
I know you're right. No,
is this Konner?
We'll say it.
Is this questions with Konner?
I apologize, Trevor.
We will say it.
I just want to get a question.
My headphones just peaked again. You're gonna break me.
Well,
okay. So Toxic is the first one.
My hands are.
I have a question.
Yes.
If I guess the company and I get it wrong, do I get penalized?
If you get it's a point for the company and a point for if you get it right or wrong.
One was baseline.
What's that?
One was baseline.
One is baseline and 2 is
What?
That's all right.
Wait, hold on. Toxic. Okay, I got mine.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so Hunter went
Hunter's
premium. I went baseline.
It's from Doomsday Disc.
Well, you didn't even let me guess. I was gonna say Doomsday.
You can guess.
Oh well, I was gonna say Doomsday.
Well, you're both
But-
wrong. It's from Black Zombie,
Oh, I was gonna guess Black Zombie.
but
I knew it.
it is premium.
Oh,
So Hunter
I
is
swore
up
we
1.
have a disc on our shelf out there, like it's the Plague in
Maybe they
toxic
use-
plastic.
Maybe they use the same one. I don't know. That's one was Black Zombie.
I'm not gonna. I'll Google after.
Okay.
'Cause that'd be,
yeah.
that'd
Our
be
next
cheating.
one.
Yeah.
Our next one is
Big
called Chrome.
cheat. Ooh.
You know I like finding those ones that sound really obvious.
Well, why'd you have to say that, Trevor? I was confident. until you said
reverse psychology.
that. I'm gonna go with what makes the most sense to me.
3, 2, 1.
I said premium. That makes
I
sense.
just said
If it's
premium because
not
I knew
premium,
Konner was gonna
that's
do
silly.
premium, and I'm up 1.
What?
If it's not premium,
anybody have
it's
any
silly.
guesses on the company? And only guess if you actually know it. Don't just sit here and think forever.
Salamandered frisbees. Just
You
kidding.
don't know.
I have no
Okay,
idea.
it's Alpha Discs with the
Okay.
I've heard of
ALFA.
them.
It's a new one, and that is premium.
Hex
Both
yeah.
you get a point. No, it makes sense. All right, our next one
Alpha the snake.
is this is one of my favorites. I think.
Okay.
No, actually, that's the one after
Big Trev's
this. This
favorite?
one is called Advanced Grip.
I have mine.
I love these ones, and they just like describe
Okay.
it. All right, 3, 2, 1.
I went baseline.
Yeah, I went
Hunter
baseline
also
as
went
well.
So you go baseline. Does anybody have any guess for the company? Going once,
Advanced
going twice.
grip. Sounds like odd grip. But it's not.
Not odd grip.
I'm gonna
It
go.
sounds like Prodigy Ace line, but I know it's not that.
they use
They just have base grip, and then they go
Yeah.
to like Duraflex.
The
I
answer
got no
is
guess.
crosslap disc, and it is a baseline. You both got that one.
Makes
as well.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay, this next
Logic.
one is my personal favorite, and this one
Trevor's
is
personal
called
favorite.
Taffy.
Oh, you can go either way there.
That one is like
Okay, I've got mine.
okay. 3, 2, and 1.
I went base.
I went
Both of us
baseline
went
as well.
baseline.
What any guess on the company? You don't have a guess. You've never heard of that.
There's no
This is
way.
from Jester Disc Golf, and
Oh,
it-
Jester? How
and
do you
it-
spell that?
like a court jester.
Jester.
I was just making
Yeah.
sure. I didn't realize it was that silly of a question.
It is a premium plastic.
Oh.
both
oh,
wrong,
okay.
but
G Star.
We stay where we are. We have this next one is simply called AU, capital A, capital U.
Got it.
Got it.
3, 2, 1.
AU short for
Gold.
Is gold. Yeah.
This one is a baseline plastic.
Now,
They're
why
dumb.
would you name your baseline after gold? Huh? It's a very valuable mineral.
It is an Australian company, so
Element.
I wonder if it has to do with that. It's a fourth
AU?
circle.
Is AU short for Australia?
AUS is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they got us with that one. We went with the elemental table.
You guys are definitely thinking the same way though right now. Okay, this next one is called Eminent. Just let me know if you know the company. I'm not gonna like give you a chance because like most of these you won't know, but just let me know if you think you know.
eminent.
Eminent.
3, 2, 1.
Oh,
Okay, all right, we'll switch it up. I decided to switch it up last second.
I did too.
Hunter goes baseline. Hunter goes premium.
I went baseline because that word doesn't sound special. It sounds like it
I
doesn't
don't even
sound-
know what
I don't know what it
eminent
means.
I
but
think it means
sounds
like it's
not
about
great.
to happen.
That's imminent though. Is it spelled with an E? Eminent? Like it might be.
I don't know.
It's baseline. We're all
We're
tied
tied
up. We're all tied up.
I had a 1 behind, and as I pulled it out, I switched to 2.
I did the exact same thing. I did 2 behind.
The
as
next
well.
one is called Bear. BARE. Bear.
Bears.
As in you are not wearing any clothes. You are bare. You are not wearing any clothes, Connor. For those of you listening,
Okay.
3,
Bear.
2, 1.
Oh gosh, you did it so fast, but my answer is
You're
baseline.
both correct. It's
okay.
baseline. All right, we got 3 more. This actually is my real favorite one.
Oh.
This one is
Oh,
called
okay.
Baker's Blend.
Baker's blend.
If you know the name of the company, you're also allowed to say it. Baker's Blend. All right, 3, 2, 1.
We both went baseline. I
Does
feel
anybody
like
know the name of the
No.
company? It's Pie Pan Discs. Have you
That's
heard of that
funny.
one?
No.
And it is premium. Both wrong.
Oh,
All right, we
okay.
got 2 left.
Whenever
2
I hear
left.
blend, I kind of feel like a blend is more
I
of
think
a
the same
baseline
thing.
thing. Yeah.
I would have thought. Yeah, I probably thought similar.
Me and Hunter are on the same wavelength.
I was also
right
thinking
now.
like baker, bread, soft.
All right.
wasn't there.
I just want to eat
wavelength.
bread right now.
I love
We got
bread.
2 left. This next one is Echo. Love this game. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I think it's
We
baseline.
both went baseline.
It is baseline.
I think it's that. I feel like we've had this company before.
What is
They
it?
like did a starter set, but I don't know. I don't know the name.
It's Premier Discs.
Yeah, we had the Premier Disc
I
starter
think we
set.
did. I think
Yeah,
we
Crown
did.
Me.
No, that was literally
No,
called.
we
Crown
had the
Disc
Premier
golf.
Disc.
I remember hearing the
Premier
name
Disc doesn't
Disc.
have a disc yet. It's like on their website that they like literally like. If you
How
go
do they
to-
not have
I-
a disc, but they have plastic?
on it, or you could buy them on their website. I have to look again, but I don't
What
think
comes?
we, I don't
What
think we have
comes
Premier
first, the
discs.
disc or the plastic?
Ooh.
I just felt like I felt a Premier
Maybe,
Disc
I don't
and
know.
Echo before.
It
and
sounds-
Heard
that's
of
why.
Premier
It does
Disc.
sound
I've heard
familiar.
of us
I don't
having
know.
a Premier
All right,
Disc.
last one.
Some
This
way.
one is mainline.
Mainline.
I have to do some tiebreakers.
Can you not go yet? Please just hold on one second. It stresses me out so much. But
the
so
last
far,
one, all tied
whenever
up.
whenever you just like start counting down, I get it right.
3, 2, 1.
Ah, we tied it up.
Man, we
Both
both.
went.
I
premium.
think that it's torpedo discs.
It's not.
I don't actually think that it's premium.
I was just trying to get
It's
another.
actually
I
from
was just-
Plastic Addicts, and it was baseline. So you
I
guys,
thought it was. I really thought it was baseline, but I couldn't help
Okay,
it. I
we're
put up
gonna.
two.
I'm gonna find a.
I just wanted to get the manufacturer for bonus point to win.
Sorry, man. I think that it's Innova. Hey, if you're listening to this and you're new, there's no shame in it, but it's pronounced Innova. There's no. I'm not shaming
are
anyone
people
for saying
still
Innova.
Are
Yes.
people still doing
People
that?
still say it,
I
yeah.
don't think anyone listening to this podcast would say Innova.
They
but
might.
I don't know. I hear a lot of people who've been playing for a long time. You don't need to be embarrassed. It's okay. But
It's just Innova.
It's Innova. It's
Like you're innovating.
just say Innova. I
then
said
take the T
Innova for a long time until I watched a YouTube video and it was realized that they said Innova.
Okay.
I also pronounced Kona Panis's name incorrectly until I had heard it said as well.
Okay, I got a
What
tie.
did you? I'm guessing you don't want to say what you said.
I would prefer not to.
That makes sense.
Tiebreaker number 1. Aura.
Or
I'm ready.
3.
my hands on behind my back. You can't start counting
now
down.
I'm
My
gonna
hands up.
3, 2, 1.
All right, we
Oh.
went separate.
Does anybody know the company?
No.
It sounds
It
like
is premium. It's Thought Space Athletics.
a good job.
I was gonna say I felt like I had an aura omen.
Yeah.
That's why. I say I
felt
feel like I know this
I was
one.
thinking, well, that's not fair. You knew he had that disc, Trevor.
I was not.
I'm just kidding. I just kidding.
You knew he did, too.
I'm not actually
I just
upset.
felt like
no,
I
you're
knew
gonna make
that.
me cry. That was a great game.
I was
though.
thinking
Great
like
battle, boys.
aura is like down to like the base of who you are. You know? So I was thinking like
whoa.
To wrap up the
We
show.
gotta quickly talk about Pong Beth or people get mad at us.
Yeah, to wrap up the show, we're gonna talk
Happy
about
birthday.
we're gonna talk about Paul's Europe tour.
How old is Paul
summary.
now? 33?
33.
Ooh.
33.
Oh my gosh, that's old. Just thought I had to put that in there. that
So his Europe tour is OFTA, because now the Pro Tour joins him over there. So there's still PCS Open and then European Open. But he ended it with 3 wins, so 50% win rate at the Pro Forester, Skellefteå, and Swedish Open. I think he did enough.
Wait, he had 50% wins?
Yeah, he had 3 out of 6.
Oh, he played in 6?
Yeah.
Oof. Thought it was 3 for 5. 3 for 6 sounds a little lamer.
No, 3 for 6. Oh,
It
he was
is
3 for
technically a
5 on
little
the
lamer.
Euro Tour events, but he played that one that was part of the other European
Pro
tour.
yeah.
And he lost. He came 31st.
I would
in
say
that
3
one.
for 6 is like
he came in what?
31st in the first one he played over
Yeah.
there. But after that, his worst finish was 6,
do
I
remember
think.
that.
He was
I do
jet
remember
lagged.
that
man.
now.
He was jet lagged. I think 3 for 6 is like acceptable.
It's enough that it's not a storyline either way.
Yeah, it's like
We're only talking about it because the comments would chew us out because they were
It's
like,
fine.
"Oh, you're not going to talk about him winning."
He
Still-
finished-
It's still less than I feel
wait.
like it should
can we
be.
twist the
agree.
narrative? Did he win 3 of his last 4? I think. Let's make that the narrative. Paul and Beth wins 3 of his last 4, headed into the PCS.
But then you could just say Gannon Burr won one of his
Well, that's
last
the
one.
point of statistics, Connor.
Oh, sorry, to skew them.
1,
I forgot.
2, 3, 4. He won 3 of his last 5.
Ooh, it doesn't sound as good. Hey, everything that's gonna matter is like if he wins.
He won back to back.
Everybody makes mistakes.
How
Everybody
about
makes
that?
days.
You like back to back?
Yes, I like that. Back-to-back wins.
Back to back wins
If
going
he
into the
wins,
PCS.
Back-to-back
I think
European
if he
winner.
wins either one of these next 2 events, then like good on him. Good tour. Good Europe trip.
I would like to say,
But if anyone
golfer,
wins either any one of the next 2 trips, it's a good Europe trip. for
whenever I think about it like this, all
Also
right,
Drew.
all right, think about it like this: a disc golfer, one specific disc golfer, won 3 out of 6 European
tour.
tour events.
Good job.
Then I'm like, that is extremely impressive. Whenever I change it and I say Paul Macbeth, just because the place he holds in my mind and soul that
your
I
soul.
can't get rid of, it's there permanently. Is not impressive.
Let
to
me give a
because
shout out
it
to-
is Paul. You know, I know that disc golf is so different than it was, but his name still
Let me
reads
give-
to me the
Does
same
it
way as it
help
did
you?
back then.
Shout
Does
out to
it help
Scott
you that-
Stokely, took 5th place.
Does it help you that one of the ones he
At the
lost was
Scaletta.
to Bradley Williams?
That does help.
So if Bradley Williams wasn't there and it was
Brad-
only a European event,
Brad
Paul would have
will.
won it.
Also helps that he
Then
just beat
yes, it
Proctor
helps.
as well, pretty handily.
He did just beat Proctor.
So like, but
Proctor
Proctor just
But
got
also
there. He's jet lagged.
the same
First
Paul
event
that's
doesn't
in my
count, you're jet
head,
lagged.
the same Paul that's in my head would never lose to Bradley Williams.
Oh,
But also the Paul, just be clear, the Paul that's in my
respect to
head
B.
doesn't
Will, bro.
lose because he didn't.
I think the 50% win rate was enough that it's not a storyline either way.
Yep.
Like it's not as good as we kind of expected, but it's not as bad as it could have been.
It is technically very good.
Yeah, he won 3.
can we
He
look-
won 3.
Um,
That is very
we need
impressive.
to look at our power rankings just for one reason only.
Okay.
I think the
Go to
problem
the
is I
FPO
hold
ones,
Paul
not
to
even for
a
MPO.
very high
Okay.
standard.
Why is Haley King not in our?
We'll
power
look at that in a
rankings?
second.
We need to look at
The
that.
main European Tour summary, main standouts, Jakub Semerad and Nicholas Antela. Unfortunately, those were the main European standouts before Paul went over there. So I don't think we really learned much before.
Did we look into that? Are those
I looked
at
it
our-
up, yeah.
Okay.
The other one, because I looked at the European Tour standings. Interesting enough, Nicholas Antela wasn't on them, but I know he won. I think,
Yeah, I've been playing though.
but I don't think he played all of them. The other guy who was in there, I already forgot his name. He came in 5th in like 2, and then like was in like.
Was it
30
Jesse
something.
Niemanen?
It also wasn't Laurie
Okay, I just-
Lottinen. We already knew him too. Or
Laurie
Silver
Lottinen.
Lot. Silver Lot was in like right behind Paul.
Big
I think he was in
Silv.
second.
Silver the
But we've
Snake.
known Silver Lot.
The Silver
for-
Bullet?
He's come over to the.
Start nicknaming everybody.
He's come
Silver
over here
Surfer.
for a while and hasn't really done much. But Jakub Semerad and Nicholas Antela, I think they are kind of like the future of European disc golf, it seems.
Yes.
Okay,
they're-
Haley King, let's set this.
Somebody commented it or actually put it in our Heiser Club mailbag, and I was like, oof. They were like, compared to Missy Gannon, it's a murder.
Well, we're going to look and see.
Since April is what they had.
Well, I go since.
I think that's what we were
I think I was
doing.
going since April, yeah.
Yeah. And it was ugly.
Well, we're just going to see.
She had like a first, second, a third, and was like 4-1 against
Hey,
her.
are you going to spoil it or are you going to let me freaking see?
I'm just trying to like,
Hey,
I'm
Trev.
just credit where credit
Hey,
is
Trev
due.
the Snake, calm down a little, okay? Big Hunt the Snake is trying to get his things together.
3-3 since April.
Misleading. Well, but like, is it 3-3 and she has?
Haley has a win, a second, and a third.
That's the key right there.
I think it was some of the other players what you're thinking of. If you go Haley King against like Owen Scoggins or
Maybe
something.
it's Paige. No, try Paige. Maybe it's Paige. Maybe it's a Paige Pierce murder fest.
2-1-1.
I don't feel you should say that. I don't feel you should say
Just
that.
disc golf. Man.
2-1-1 since
Okay.
April.
See, that's-
Haley King should probably
she's gotta be
be
in the
over
power
Missy
rankings.
Gannon.
It's
Let's just make sure Missy Gannon shouldn't be over Paige
yeah,
Pierce.
it's a little bit shambolic that she was in her power rankings. I'm a little bit embarrassed.
Missy Gannon's 4-1 against Paige.
Yeah. So,
But
Sounds
Paige
like
has
Miss
a win.
King was misplaced. Am I right, boys?
Paige has a win.
but she was at Bonnaroo.
Well, but does it go
Yeah,
Kristen,
Bonnaroo,
Owen,
yeah.
Kat, Missy, Haley?
Yeah.
And Paige is out.
See you later, Paige.
But Paige has a win. We don't factor that in? Okay. There you go.
I don't know.
There you go. Kristen, Owen, Kat, Missy, Haley. Boom.
Thank you. Just had to do that.
That's grip locked. We'll talk to you next week when we wrap up the PCS Open, which we'll also have a preview show for. So be sure to tune in for the preview show. Get all the information
Ready
that
for
you
those
need.
glorious European tea times.
Heading
baby.
into the
9 o'clock
PCS
at
Open. And then, I thought it was like 9 in the morning. Let's see what the tea time's going
Are
to
they
be.
morning?
They're typically like first thing in the morning because FPO happens at like 2 a.m.
I thought.
Can I see the tea times? Well, because like MPO,
Oh, or is it the FPO ones that are like in the middle of the
FPO's in the
night?
middle of the night at like 4 a.m. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Well, let's see what time it is in Norway.
Hey Siri, what time is it in Norway?
Well, they're
Time
way
in
ahead
Norway
of
right
us,
now
so-
is 4:17 p.m. So like the MPO would have just teed off like an hour ago. So yeah, MPO tees off like 9 a.m.
Morning.
Eastern,
Yeah, okay.
and FPO tees off at I don't know, it's 4 a.m.
I got you. Dog.
Something like that.
I got you.
We'll talk to you then.